Hi, Elena.
Hello, dear Heather. How are you? So
I
good.
am doing well. It's great to see you too.
We we are super colorful, both of us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
How are
And I'm
you today?
fine. Yeah, and we're receiving lots of people. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, 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 hello. I'm doing fine. I'm just starting a little bit more quiet season. Hope,
Mhm.
thankfully.
And where in the world are you? Because every time we speak, you're somewhere new.
I'm in Mallorca again.
Mm,
Back
nice.
in my, I always remember, and I have repeated so many times, dear Heather, when you introduced me to Francisca, I think it was Francisca, and you told her, what, Elena lives in Spain, actually all over Spain.
That's right.
I really loved it.
Yeah.
No, that was, this is the point of the hour, so we can wait like a couple minutes for more people to join to start talking. But I always share this that we record this session, we download it and upload it to our YouTube channel so it can be visited after our conversation. We will be talking for half an hour, relax talking. Always a joy and a pleasure talking to you, Heather.
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be able to talk about the upcoming summit and to hear more about it from you too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we receive some people joining. So what I would do, it's like I welcome everyone again. Thank you for joining. We are going to be sharing half an hour talking about the summit, talking about this global summit that we will be offering the chance for people to join on site and online. And today you're representing also this strong online voice. So I know that most everyone knows you, Heather, but I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit first so people can have a context. What way are we here and what will be talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Well, my name is Heather Levitt Martinez, and I am dialing in from Southwest Colorado in the United States. And so I've been involved in the IFEP and the European conferences for about 11 or 12 years now. And I hope that we can talk about not just the workshop, the pre-summit workshop that I'll be offering, Scaling Letters, but that we also talk about the importance of the summit and community and also, I'll be offering one of the afternoon sessions. I think that's a knowledge share or something like that on Thursday. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the joy. This knowledge cafe will be like
Hmm.
having some of the renowned voices and sharing the wisdom of the community. And as you said, Heather, and we know, and then we share this feeling of this community feeling because most of
Hmm.
us we have learned so much from the community, and I thank you for bringing this spirit, this experience we have had all together and growing as professionals for just
Mm.
for people to connect in these gatherings like the conferences through the IVP and the European Visual Practitioners and others. So thank you
Yes.
for bringing that. Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey throughout.
Yeah, oh, I'm happy to because I've been a part of a lot of them and I'm excited to be a part of this year's summit. If it weren't for my chronic autoimmune issues and COVID, I would be in Bilbao. You and I have been talking about this for years now, and I even had a big idea of building a big monumental lettering wall, but that didn't happen, so maybe next time. But I will say that the European conferences have been the most inspirational that I've attended. All of the conferences have been career changing for me personally. And sure, I got to learn a lot, but it's the people that I have met, like you and so many others, who have become lifelong friends as well as creative and professional collaborators. I mean, we've gone from coming to these conferences to co-teaching and co-presenting workshops and other types of presentations. And each one of those conferences, I found myself contributing in different ways as needed. I did a lot of volunteering in the beginning, and every conference I've volunteered in some way or have taught. But one thing that I just want to say, and this just doesn't go for me, this goes for you and anyone else who's watching that's been a part of these conferences, it's those collaborations that each of us make to the field that bring us together, that make us stronger as a community and a profession, and inspire to take our work to the next level. When I said career changing, I don't know about you, Elena, but every conference that I went to, it wasn't just what I learned, but what I came back with the very next year. Has that been true for you?
Absolutely, and you mentioned also the European the European sessions, the European conferences. For me, my first one was Berlin, and it was like I have repeated this several times, but this to me was like discovering like the wonderland, like opening gates and finding answers about the profession. Okay, because
Yeah.
I discovered the professions through a friend in Madrid at a conference. Actually, it was Image Thing working in
Hmm.
Madrid. But then I decided to join the community. I decided to join the IFEP as well, and traveling to Berlin. And then
Yeah.
all the pieces of the puzzle match and made sense. And to me, it was a game changer professionally, personally, and in so many aspects. No, definitely, the answers were found for me. And then, as you said, every conference, the bonds are bigger, the connections
Yeah.
are bigger, the learning is bigger. I think that without these steps, or having taken the step of going or attending the conferences, it would have been totally different for me, at least for me, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, I love hearing that. And that's so true for those who attend the very first time. My first conference was in 2011 in Hawaii. And that for me was, I had a very similar experience as you did in that it opened up a whole world. I met some of my mentors and that are now friends of mine now. And it just helped me realize what was possible. But I love going attending to each one. I'll tell you that in 2013, that was New York. It was like watching history unfold with the change of leadership in the IFEP. That's where social media started. Our social media group started in 2013. And for me in Berlin, I love that you talk about your experience coming into it and experiencing it. For me, it was about seeing a huge world of visual thinking. It just exploded there. There were so many people outside of being visual practitioners and facilitators using visuals in their work. And I found that incredibly inspiring, from healthcare, education, software development. I thought, who are all these people? And they didn't need us as visual practitioners to do the work for them. They were already doing it. And they showed up and shared how they leveraged the power of visuals, which just blew my mind, because I've been to a couple of conferences and it was pretty tight knit of, you know, who's who in the field and that type of thing. But yeah, Berlin just exploded for me. It was like, wow, there's so many more opportunities. And I feel like that Bilbao this year is sort of building on that. It's showing us that visuals can be everywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's spirit, and also the spirit is super high with this objective and this motto on top of us. But it's a challenging year, so
Yeah.
it's really then that we are super convinced and opening it and making it easy for people to connect, even if traveling it's not so obvious. The this year you share definitely your reasons or your life moment at this moment, but I'm looking forward to receive you here sometime whenever the right time. That will
I hope I hope that's sooner rather than later. But you're also doing a lot of work with the summit to make sure that people can get online. And I noticed that you have lots of ways people can. I mean, not just hybrid, but you've also got regional groups and things like
yeah,
that.
yes, yes. Actually, that this is the invitation. It's for people like to drive a little group in the regions and try to have like a connection or be in a node that connects to the network, even if you're in a
Mhm.
different time zone or in a different language, because there will be something for you, and there will be virtual spaces to connect the hybrid group, and it's working very hard to offer this. So please, for those that are doubting, just check the website or check our social media to discover, or ask us, just write us and say, well, what's for me there? Because definitely that's the interest. Even if this year, like, connection, it's been harsh for so many reasons, we're still trying to hold the kite and or the ropes so people can connect. This is why I also love this conversation with you, Heather, because you have such a beautiful energy, and your voice. Oh, yes, I always enjoy it.
I'm going to give you credit, Elena, because you bring out the best in me for sure. You always do. You always put a smile on my face. And hearing you talk about the hybrid piece and the regional groups, it reminds me, I'm going to keep I'm going to keep going back and reminiscing about past conferences. But in 2015 in Austin, the team that I was on, called the Visioneering team, we had a plenary, like it wasn't a keynote, but it was a plenary talk on one of the days, I think it was the last day, about orbiting one another. And the way you describe that reminds me of how we began to find ways to orbit with one another. It looks like somebody just, I think it was Lauren just wrote in 2016. So that was in DC. And that's where we built the great big huge it was a big mobile. Were you there, Elena?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we came together to build that big structure, and that was it. That was our like leveling up the next version of how do we orbit one another. Yeah. So that was a lot going on. That was a big year for me. I taught that was like the second year that I taught a lettering class, and I should say the security was so great that they didn't even let Guido in the room. That Guido sent in a bunch of paper and a bunch of supplies, but they wouldn't even let him in there, which I thought was sad because it sold out. But it was so great to be able to have that lettering opportunity. And then shortly after, that's when I was asked to be a ambassador, which you're an ambassador too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where these things happen, right? They happen at conference. They happen at the summits.
Yeah, they happen because of those invisible threads that are so beautiful. Having this little conversation, these little spaces that tie the bonds, because and you open the conversation with this word, and it's all about the community. And then while we build a community and we make it tighter, we learn new things. We learn about new voices. And well, it's like your case, that all your lettering journey has been a journey for all of us, because we have you as like you were developing and growing and you find this way of developing this lettering language for our profession, which
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, because we learn to look at to lettering through your eyes, and it really has helped lots of us, and I'm not telling nothing except
well, yeah, and you were there. You were in where were we? We were in Zeist. You took my class. I think it was based on the book.
Yes.
Can I do a quick commercial for the book in case those who don't know about it?
Absolutely.
So my book is called Lettering Journey: Fast, Functional, and Fun, and this is my version. So it's black and white insides, but Neuland came up with their version, and they have two versions actually. They have one in English, and they just translated one in German. So it's pretty exciting that it's also in German. But the premise of the book, there were two main things that I wanted to do. And one, I wanted to create large scale lettering sizes that can be written with the big markers, so that we had titles, right? But they were all inspired by a journey that I took across North America, where I would find different things like bricks or marquees, or I would visit national parks. And from each one of these places, I would get these lettering ideas. And then I would say, oh, I can convert that into the wonderful markers that we use as visual practitioners. And after studying with lots of calligraphers and sign painters and graffiti artists, they helped me work fast. they're the ones that taught me with their tools, and then I would translate it to our tools. And so I wrote that book, and I was so excited this year when Neuland came out with the Big One Art, this, I
Yes.
love to say it, the largest art marker in the world. I went, wait a minute, we now can scale to a whole new level. And so all of the lettering styles that are in my book that you can write with the number one art, now we get to make these into title lettering styles. So thank you for sharing that, because it's been my, not just my, I would say my life's work, but really my career work, and how I can translate what we do as visual practitioners, how I could translate, you know, all the things that I learned from the calligraphers and bring that to visual practitioners in the fastest, easiest way. So I will say that I have gotten some negative reviews about my book from non-visual practitioners, from calligraphers. They're like, this book's too simple, or this book is teaching us lettering styles I'm not interested in. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This book wasn't made for you. This book was made for visual practitioners. And since my lettering classes have grown to beyond visual practitioners, I have to explain that a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But you and Lauren is saying goodbye also, and I
Thanks for joining us, Lauren.
totally I agree with her. And as I said in the beginning, you put your eyes help us look at it in a different way. We talk about drawing, and we will share lessons about drawing or helping people to start with the first steps. The first step is the way we look at things, and the way we acknowledge the shapes and the formats, and the way you have done this wonderful, or I don't know what would word that, wunderbar translations from, from the calligraphers to our world. It really helped us look at how we do the lines, and how we move the hands. Then that has helped. It helps in my, as I see it, and I also advise people to look at your work, not just for lettering but also for drawing, because it's
Yes.
it's the way control, or you acknowledge or you recognize the movement of your own hand, and you understand yourself better. And I think this is one of the biggest steps we can make as visual practitioners in general, understand ourselves, how we look at things, and how we draw. So
Thank you for
definitely,
saying that. When we can control our hand to write letters, because we know what they look like and our audience knows what they look like, then our confidence grows. And when our confidence grows, we can draw things from our imagination or from looking at another reference pretty easily. And because we've refined that eye-hand coordination. So that's why I love to teach lettering, is because it can meet people at the very basic level if they're just starting out as visual practitioners. But even seasoned facilitators have taken my classes and have said exactly what you've said, that their drawing increased, their drawing quality. And I don't know if the quality increased as much as maybe their confidence, right? Because just like you said, they have better control over the tool. Yeah.
yeah. But you portray very nicely. It's confidence to me, definitely. That's the word. But that confidence sparks imagination, as you said, because I'm more confident. I can go wilder because I know what I'm doing. So definitely quality comes after, but definitely it comes. Yes. 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 Absolutely. So, okay. So I'll thank you again for encouraging people to join online and not to miss our gathering. It's going to be very special, and you mentioned when we made Inside, but it was just before the pandemic. The world closed just 2 weeks after.
Yeah. You and I were in a cab in Zeiss, I think, going back to our hotel after the workshop. Yep.
Yes.
And then the world just changed, didn't it?
Absolutely. So I think this summit has this meaningful moment about reconnecting. So reconnecting with the community, it's one of the keywords. So that's the spirit of this event. Also thinking together, co-creating, thinking about the future of our profession, sharing from a humble position, but definitely reconnecting. So I thank you for mentioning this online possibility and encouraging people to join. But please tell us a little bit about your workshop as well.
Yeah, well, I just want to reiterate to folks that this gathering is more important than ever. And I'm so glad you said that about how we haven't been together since before the pandemics, even hybrid. So I offer a lot of online classes, as many people know, and I even teach tech hosting. But in my pre-summit workshop, we're going to be talking about scaling letters up and down. And for those that are familiar with I think it's the World of Visual Facilitation, the really big, thick book that so many people were published in, I have a chapter in there and I have one graphic where I show how to scale your letters up and down using the big one. I think it's just the big one wedge. But now that we have the big one art, now the versatility has just, the dynamic of what we can do has just, I don't know, I can't say quadrupled because it's every single lettering style that we can do with a brush has now gotten bigger. And so so I'll be covering a lot of styles. I think there are 5 specific styles I'll be covering in the class. And then I'll be offering everyone online, there's an online version of everything I'm teaching. So people can continue. They don't have to learn it all in one day. They can get that taste of it in the morning, get their questions answered about specific lettering styles, have access to all the online courses that go along with it, which are actually exceed the value of the actual live class. And then in the afternoon, we're going to have, it's going to really be, everything's out on the table. It is structured, but anyone that has questions about lettering, those questions will be answered. And the class is called Scaling Letters from, I believe it's called From Sketchnote to Wall Charts. And if I can, I'm going to see if I can copy and paste the link into this, into our comments here. I don't know if it'll let me do it, but we'll see. Maybe. Okay, good. So yeah, go ahead.
Good.
Do you have a question?
I didn't dare to do it because once I tried and I closed the session. So.
Oh, okay. No, I was being very careful. I
Yeah.
practiced it before we came on.
Yeah.
So I just remember when we first started out, or when I first started out as a visual practitioner, I was most interested in graphic recording. And I would sketchnote as a way to practice, right? So I would be in meetings and maybe I didn't have permission to work on the wall just yet, or I hadn't gotten the courage to ask. And so I had the hardest time figuring out what pins do I use when I'm sketchnoting and how does that relate to the markers that I use when I go to the wall. And since that, I figured out a formula for not only what markers to use when, but again, what lettering styles are best for scaling up and down. And some of them are based on our handwriting, but I think that when we graphic record just based on our handwriting, what happens is we limit ourselves to what we can do, and we limit, it's not always as interesting as if we had some lettering styles. And not that you have to perfect every single one of the lettering styles that I share, but make it your own. You took my class, Elena, so I don't know if you remember, but there was a lettering style called National Parks, and you can write National Parks with any marker. So you can, in any color, in any size. And so it has probably one of the most versatile things. And the reality is you don't have to write exactly like National Parks, but you can take what you learn from that and your own style and start to create something that's very different than what any other visual practitioner is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely inspirational. And I always tell people also to learn, but make things of your own. Don't try to imitate. Or I had a workshop like a couple of weeks ago, and since I'm not for straight lines, I'm more for organic movements. And when
Me too.
I said this in a class, there was one of the participants that told me, so I can call it organic. It's just not wrong.
That's right. That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm the same way. I am not this perfect. I don't write perfectly. When I do my calligraphy and I'm using dip pins, I'm going much slower and it's much harder for me to do that type of work. But when I get into graphic recording and facilitating, and I have a rhythm set for each one of these different lettering styles, I get into this rhythm and this flow that goes along with my speed, that my letters aren't going to be perfect. And I like to share that with my students. I have a couple of jobs that are my favorite jobs that I share with my students. I say, if you want to see my lettering, hold on, you're not going to be impressed, because just like everyone else, the wheels kind of fall off the bus once we start speeding up. You know, spacing and spelling and forms, those all kind of go out the window. But I really believe it's the confidence that I have in my lettering that allows me to do my job well. Yeah.
That's exactly. We go back to that confidence. That at the end, that confidence gives to the result, and the slickness that it comes from that flow state, but from that confidence, definitely. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that workshop we shared. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but when we worked with the two pencils, with the fat one that do it
Uh-huh.
with.
Uh-huh.
I wrote Mallorca actually, and I didn't have an
Yes, I
idea.
remember that.
Yeah, and you know what? I have a graphic recording soon, and like in a couple days, and it's about the Mediterranean and the preservation of the ocean, and I'm gonna use that,
Mm.
and I'm gonna fill it with. I'm gonna make a combination with the Posidonia, which is the seagrass that protects the
Nice.
ocean, also the sea creatures, and as you said, that I made it mine. So, but I get in my backpack all these
Yes.
learnings. And I haven't used it since then, but I'm gonna use it in 2 days, and I'm super happy
Yeah,
to have that chance to do it. Yes,
I
absolutely.
love that.
And
So
when
I just want to say, and for those who are listening and they're like, what is she talking about? We're talking about filling, I'm just going to show you a visual. We're talking about filling letters with pictures. And I call it Niagara Falls because that's a very famous place. And I was in Niagara Falls when I thought of this idea. But the person that inspired me was Ben Tinker. And he did it with a very simple word, Miami. And he drew a Miami beach. So the idea is that you do this hack, we call it a hack, where you take two pencils and you put it around a big one or a fat one, but you could certainly just hand draw or construct the letters and then draw inside of it. Yeah. So this is more of a construction and drawing. I mainly teach how to write letters and how to do that scaling up and down. But yeah, you had a question. Was it about the workshop?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you for which day would be the
Yeah.
workshop for all the which would be the day? It would be the
Mm-hmm.
26th, 27th.
Actually, it's Monday the 25th. So
Okay, all
July, Monday the 25th. And I
right.
did it that way because I have on the 26th, I know that there were some other classes that were being offered. And if there were folks who wanted a one-to-one with me right after they took the course, but before the conference started, then I would be available that. Oh, but my spinny wheel.
Oh,
Oh, there you're
yeah.
back. Sorry. I
Oh,
don't know if that was me or you, but there was a spinny wheel.
me neither. You were talking about the 25th, and also for those in Spain, it's a big holiday. So the people that want to join have like a real holiday space to join you and learn from you on the 25th, and it will be a perfect start for the summit. So we are coming to the half, and we're making this 30-minute session. We have a couple minutes if there is some question or something else we can say, because we like to stick to the 30 minutes. So we upload
Mhm.
it to our YouTube channel, as I mentioned in the beginning. It's easy to go back and go to it. And for those that are asking to why should I come or why should I join online or on-site, please visit our YouTube channel, our social media, and you'll find conversations like this to find the reasons why. But I love the way we started here, Heather, about the community reconnecting and being better professionals and better persons as well, like growing a lot,
Yeah.
getting to know.
And I got on the app this morning. You have a wonderful app for the conference, and I was flipping through who's attending, and I was actually excited to see that I only knew about a third of the people there. And I got excited because I thought that means that there's so many wonderful people that I get to meet now. So that's great. So why is there a workshop on the 25th? Okay, so yes, Bilbao starts on the 27th, but there are pre-summit workshops happening on the 25th and the 26th before the summit. And so
Mhm.
I'll be teaching scaling letters, and there's a couple of others that are going to be offered as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, please visit our registration page for all the information. There will be some on site, one with David Sibet, also the Year 101, IVP Year 101, and some others with Ben Crothers and I think Raquel. But please check and double check everything in our registration page. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Olivier is
Yay.
joining. Hello, Olivier. Yeah, thank you, Francisca, for the question. So thank you so much, dear Heather. Always a joy having the chance to talk to you and
My
seeing you. And
pleasure.
yeah, and we're happy. I'm happy that we had this colorful conversation, both of us in color. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
for your words, and looking forward to seeing you soon, anywhere in the world. Anywhere.
I'll see you soon. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you, everyone, for joining as well, and see you all in Bilbao. Ciao. Bye bye. Thank
Ciao.
you.